My parents are both track athletes. They ran for A&M. My dad's biggest accomplishment was winning a national championship indoors on the 4x4 team. My mom was the heptathlete. She had the record at A&M for a long time. I loved the tradition of just being an Aggie. I always pictured going to A&M and meeting an Aggie running track.
Ashtin Zamzow always hoped for a love story like her parents and thought she might have found it when she met Wolf Mahler. The two connected while competing at the Great Southwest Classic in June of 2013, 2 months before he would become a Longhorn and she returned to high school for her senior year.
Obviously, I wanted her to come here, and I wanted her to do what was best for her, but her and her family had decided that A&M would be the best place for her to go.
It was Wolf's dad who was like, can you just please just take a visit to Texas and just see the athletes, the facilities, the coaching, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I came by myself because my parents didn't want any part of it. The 2 days I spent was just I was in awe. I fell in love with everything here. I just remember driving home crying to myself. I was just like, I want to go to Texas, and my parents aren't going to let me go to Texas.
Ashtin couldn't escape the allure of what Texas had to offer. After 1 year at Texas A&M, she decided to transfer.
It was so ingrained in me as a child to this is where you're going to be, this is what you're going to do. And to break away from that, it was hard. As soon as I transferred, it was kind of got shut off. Financially, it was emotionally, it was almost like I didn't have parents, which it's kind of dramatic to say, but it was kind of true. They didn't handle it very well. I didn't handle it very well. It was very emotional, I think, for all of us. My sophomore year, whenever I broke the record for the first time, my dad was like, well, all right, this isn't too bad of an idea. Come on. They've come around. In the end, it was me breaking out of my shell, finally showing them I'm my own person and I'm gonna do what I want to do, and this is my life I'm living, it's not y'all's. Y'all already did what you wanted to do, and y'all got to do it together. And that's one thing I wanted so bad, was to do it with Wolf.
It was difficult, absolutely, but through it all, Ashtin and I were so strong. I feel like our relationship is what carried us through and still does. We've kind of been there for each other when the other's down, to pick one up.
Oh, it's been so helpful. It's just, we get each other. We get what we're going through, whether it's good days and bad days. There's just a lot to learn from this sport, and you don't realize it until you go through the challenges and the successes together.
Over the next 2 seasons, Ashtin and Wolf supported each other through injuries and podium finishes. Ashtin won Texas's first Big 12 championship in the pentathlon, while Wolf capped his indoor career with an All-American 7th place finish in the heptathlon at the NCAAs. Wolf, who had been granted a 5th year because of an injury, was ready to close out his final season at Texas strong.
We were going to leave in a few days to go to California to do a meet. I was on my friend's moped, and I was in the left lane, and this girl and a bunch of friends of hers were in a Suburban in the right lane. All of a sudden, they decided to take a left right out in front of me. We were going about 25, 30 miles per hour, and before I knew it, my head slammed against the windshield, and it was just white. I was so mad. I got up, I was supposed to do a decathlon the next week and get a qualifier for nationals. You ruined my season, man, my last chance. We wanted to finish things out together. After the initial anger went away, I started crying because I was just man, I could have died so easily.
I just remember walking into his hospital bed and just looking at him, just crying, just because he was bloody and had the head brace on, and I'm just not used to seeing, when you see your loved one like that. And I just remember crying and just hugging him and being so thankful he's okay. It kind of made us both realize what's important in life.
Wolf sustained a concussion and broken collarbone. Thankful to be alive, he was granted a 6th season, which meant one more year to train and compete alongside Ashtin. But he wasn't going to take the time they had together for granted.
I'd had a dream of how to ask her to marry me for the longest time, ever since she told me about how she took a family trip in her youth to Yosemite National Park. She had no idea we were going anywhere, and I woke her up at 4 a.m. that morning and said, "Hey, we're getting on a plane." It was just very spontaneous. Open your eyes.
San Francisco.
Going to San Francisco and Yosemite was kind of the perfect proposal plan. And we hiked to the top of Half Dome. It was like an 8-hour hike. There's wind up there. There's just this metal cable to hold on to. Already nervous because there's a very expensive ring in my backpack. Make sure nothing falls.
And it was gorgeous. He had his shoes off. He always does his most important things with his shoes off. So I was like, okay, something's gonna happen. He said 2 sentences, and before he even got finished with them, I just started kind of crying because I knew he was about to ask the question, and he got down on one knee.
Will you marry? I will never forget the hug, after she said yes. I mean, that was just the best feeling on earth.
We're engaged.
I've known her for 6 years now, and just watching her grow as a person and as an athlete, that's very inspirational for me.
Since their engagement, Ashtin placed 3rd at the NCAA Indoor Pentathlon and swept the Big 12's indoor and outdoor multi-event titles. This past March, she shattered the school record in the heptathlon at the Texas Relays, claiming the #1 ranking in the NCAA. On June 7th, Ashtin will compete for the national championship in Austin with Wolf by her side.
What it took for me to come here, to transfer here, and to be with him, it hasn't been easy, that's for sure. But in a way, with Wolf by my side, being the rock that he has been the past 6 years, it's been easy. I'm so thankful we're getting to go through it together. Knowing that we're going to get married after it all is just so special.